Before you take your next trip, you need to hear this. Across the country, RVers are being fined, ticketed, and kicked out for the dumbest reasons you could ever imagine. These laws aren't rare. They're spreading fast, and they could ruin your RV plans overnight. Let's get rolling. You spend thousands of dollars on an RV, own it outright, then discover you can't even park it in your own driveway. This is the maddening reality facing RV owners across America, where local ordinances and homeowners associations ban recreational vehicles from residential properties in the name of aesthetics and property values. These restrictive rules force owners into expensive storage facilities or require them to build high fences to hide their rigs. The irony? You can park a beat-up car in your driveway indefinitely, but not your pristine RV that you use for family vacations. The practical consequences are significant. Want to load up for a weekend trip? First, you'll need to retrieve your RV from storage. Need to perform maintenance or winterize your rig? That's another trip to the storage lot. These inconveniences add time, money, and frustration to what should be simple tasks. Breaking these rules can result in hefty fines, forced towing, or harassment from code enforcement officers. Full-time RVers and frequent travelers face the biggest burden, turning everyday life into a logistical nightmare. Before parking at home, savvy RVers must research city zoning laws and HOA restrictions. A sad reminder that property ownership has limits when bureaucrats decide what looks appropriate in your own driveway. Think you can legally park your RV on a quiet street and catch some sleep? Think again. In countless towns across America, sleeping in your RV is classified as illegal camping, even when you're parked completely legally and bothering no one. This absurd restriction means RVers can face police visits or wake up to tickets simply for using their vehicle as intended, for sleeping. The law creates serious problems for travelers passing through cities, those waiting for campground check-in times, or anyone needing a safe overnight rest stop. Instead of allowing harmless overnight parking, these ordinances force people into expensive commercial campgrounds or RV parks, even for just a few hours of sleep. Budget-conscious travelers and those seeking flexible travel schedules suffer most under these rules. The real irony? Motorhomes are literally designed and built for sleeping. Yet using yours for its primary purpose in public spaces makes you a criminal. Even worse, this law actually promotes unsafe driving by pushing exhausted travelers back onto the roads instead of encouraging responsible rest. Rather than enhancing community safety, these anti-camping ordinances create unnecessary hardship for law-abiding RV owners who simply need a place to safely park and sleep in their own vehicles. Arriving at a campground after a long day of driving, only to be turned away because your RV was manufactured 11 years ago, not because it's unsafe, dirty, or poorly maintained, but simply because of a date on your registration. Welcome to the controversial 10-year rule, a policy used by many private campgrounds to automatically reject RVs over a decade old. This isn't about mechanical safety or sanitation standards. It's purely aesthetic discrimination designed to maintain an upscale appearance. The rule ignores reality entirely. Many RV owners pour thousands into maintaining their rigs, fresh paint, modern appliances, updated interiors, and meticulous care. Yet a pristine 2013 model gets rejected while a neglected 2020 RV gets waved through. For full-time RVers, this policy is particularly devastating, severely limiting accommodation options and forcing expensive decisions. Buy a newer rig they don't need, pay premium rates at age-friendly parks, or risk being stranded without reservations. Some campgrounds allow photo pre-approval, but this adds another layer of hassle to trip planning. The 10-year rule essentially punishes responsible RV owners who maintain their vehicles well but can't afford constant upgrades. It's a perfect example of arbitrary discrimination that makes RV life unnecessarily complicated and expensive while ignoring what actually matters: the condition and care of the recreational vehicle. You're parked legally on a public street in your RV, hungry after a long day of travel, and you fire up your stove to make dinner. In many cities, you've just broken the law. Numerous municipalities prohibit cooking inside parked motorhomes, classifying it as a fire hazard despite the fact that RVs are specifically engineered for cooking. These mobile homes come equipped with proper ventilation systems, built-in fire suppression features, and propane systems designed to safely handle cooking. Yet local ordinances treat them like ticking time bombs. This bizarre restriction hits travelers and full-timers differently, but unfairly punishes both. Road trippers face added expenses from constant restaurant meals or must seek costly campgrounds just to prepare basic food. Full-time RVers get ticketed for the simple act of cooking dinner in their own kitchen. The irony is glaring. You can legally grill on a sidewalk with a portable barbecue, but using your RV's purpose-built kitchen makes you a lawbreaker. Cities allow food trucks to cook on the same streets where RV cooking is banned. This rule feels less about genuine safety concerns and more about pushing RVers out of urban areas. It's fundamentally absurd to criminalize people for using their self-contained living spaces exactly as they were designed, complete with kitchens meant for cooking. For decades, Walmart parking lots have served as lifesavers for road-weary RVers. Well-lit, secure spots where travelers can safely rest for free when campgrounds are full or budgets are tight. Many stores actively welcome overnight guests, recognizing the mutual benefit. But local governments are increasingly outlawing this practice, making it illegal to sleep in Walmart parking lots even when the store supports it. These bans often stem from pressure by city councils wanting to maintain appearances or nearby campgrounds seeking to eliminate free competition. The economic irony is striking. Overnight RVers typically spend money at Walmart and surrounding businesses, bringing revenue to the community. By banning these stays, cities literally chase away customers and the economic activity they generate. More troubling is the safety impact. Instead of encouraging rest at safe, well-lit locations, these ordinances force exhausted drivers back onto dangerous roads or push them toward isolated, unsafe roadside stops. The very travelers these laws claim to regulate often end up in genuinely hazardous situations. This policy benefits virtually no one except campground owners lobbying against free alternatives. RVers lose a practical, budget-friendly option. Walmart loses customers. Cities lose economic activity. Meanwhile, tired drivers face increased risks, all because local governments prioritized politics over public safety and common sense. Rest areas exist for one simple purpose: providing drivers a safe place to stop, rest, and avoid fatigue-related accidents. Yet many states now prohibit overnight sleeping in these facilities, even inside your own RV, creating a dangerous contradiction. Officials defend these bans by claiming rest areas are for short breaks only, but this policy ignores basic road safety principles. Professional drivers and RVers often need more than a 20-minute catnap to safely continue their journey. Quality rest requires several hours, not a quick stretch. By criminalizing overnight stays, these laws create two equally dangerous scenarios: exhausted drivers pushing forward when they shouldn't, or frantic late-night searches for available campgrounds that may not exist. Both situations increase accident risks rather than reduce them. The enforcement adds insult to injury. Tired travelers face fines, tickets, or jarring middle-of-the-night police visits that destroy any rest they might have gotten. Many end up sleeping in dark, isolated truck stops or roadside areas far less safe than well-lit, patrolled rest areas. This represents a fundamental policy failure. Rest areas offer ideal conditions for safe overnight parking, lighting, security, and purpose-built facilities. Yet laws force people away from these safer options toward genuinely dangerous alternatives. It's backward logic that prioritizes arbitrary rules over actual highway safety. Some counties have enacted one of the most absurd RV regulations imaginable, mandating that recreational vehicles be painted only in white or other neutral colors. Local governments justify this overreach by claiming brightly colored motorhomes are unsightly or disrupt neighborhood aesthetics. For RV owners, this feels like pure bureaucratic madness. These mobile homes represent personal freedom and expression. Many owners take pride in customizing their rigs with vibrant colors, murals, or unique graphics that reflect their personality and travels. Under these laws, creativity literally becomes a criminal offense. The rule becomes even more ridiculous when you consider that motorhomes are temporary visitors, not permanent neighborhood fixtures. Unlike houses that remain in one location for decades, motorhomes pass through briefly, making aesthetic concerns largely pointless. Perhaps most infuriating is the financial burden. RV manufacturers now sell units in countless colors, patterns, and eye-catching designs. Owners who spend $50,000 or more on a brand new, factory-painted RV could be forced to shell out thousands more for a boring white repaint job just to legally park in certain areas. This law strips away personal freedom, creates unnecessary expenses, and addresses no legitimate safety or practical concerns. It's government overreach at its finest. regulating the color of your mobile home simply because some bureaucrat decided bright colors are offensive. You buy your own piece of property, install proper utilities, and park your well-equipped RV there. Yet in many counties, living in it full-time is illegal. Zoning codes classify motorhomes as temporary structures, making them unsuitable as primary residences regardless of their actual livability. Local governments cite concerns about property values, sanitation, and tax compliance, but these justifications often fall flat. Modern motorhomes frequently offer better amenities than many approved dwellings: full kitchens, bathrooms, HVAC systems, and safety features that surpass older cabins or mobile homes that face no such restrictions. This policy hits hardest during America's housing affordability crisis. People seeking to downsize, live sustainably, or escape crushing rent costs find themselves blocked by arbitrary regulations that ignore practical reality. Instead of embracing alternative housing solutions, these laws force property owners into expensive traditional construction or face fines and eviction from their own land. The contradiction is glaring. You can legally park an RV on your property for temporary stays, but the moment you call it home, you become a lawbreaker. Counties essentially dictate not just what you can build on your property, but how you're allowed to live. At a time when innovative housing solutions are desperately needed, these outdated zoning laws criminalize affordable, sustainable living options while pushing people toward financial hardship they're trying to avoid. Gray water, the relatively clean wastewater from RV sinks and showers, contains little more than soap residue and food particles. Yet many counties make it illegal to discharge this mild wastewater on your own property, treating it like toxic waste despite its minimal environmental impact. The disconnect is jarring. Homeowners routinely water gardens with hoses, wash cars in driveways, and drain outdoor sinks directly onto their land without legal consequence. But RVers face fines for letting their dishwater soak into soil they own, even in remote areas far from waterways. Officials justify these bans as environmental protection, citing contamination fears and pest concerns. While water quality matters, these laws take a sledgehammer approach where a scalpel would suffice. Rather than requiring biodegradable soaps, setting distance limits from wells, or restricting dumping near sensitive areas, regulations simply ban the practice entirely. This creates real hardships for off-grid RVers and sustainable living enthusiasts. Instead of responsibly dispersing gray water for irrigation or natural filtration, people must haul tanks to expensive dump stations, increasing costs and fuel consumption, hardly an environmental win. The irony runs deep. Laws supposedly protecting the environment force people away from responsible, localized water management toward wasteful transportation solutions. It's regulatory overkill that ignores common sense, while punishing property owners for managing their own wastewater responsibly. You're legally parked on a public street, not blocking traffic or causing problems, yet the clock is ticking. In many towns, motorhomes face arbitrary time limits, sometimes just 24 hours, before owners risk tickets, fines, or towing, regardless of how responsibly they're parked. City officials defend these restrictions by claiming they prevent neighborhoods from becoming unofficial campgrounds, but the real-world impact is far more problematic. Families visiting relatives find themselves kicked out after a single night. Tourists exploring downtown areas spend more time worrying about parking violations than enjoying local attractions. The economic consequences are particularly short-sighted. When RVers are forced to move along quickly, they spend less money at local restaurants, shops, and tourist sites. Towns literally chase away the very visitors who could boost their economies, all for the sake of arbitrary time restrictions. These blanket policies ignore common sense and context. A reasonable approach might distinguish between problem parking and responsible temporary stays, or allow longer limits in appropriate areas. Instead, cities apply one-size-fits-all rules that punish everyone equally. The result is counterproductive. Instead of managing legitimate concerns about long-term camping, these laws discourage tourism and create unnecessary hardship for travelers who simply need safe, temporary parking while following all other rules. During declared emergencies like hurricanes or wildfires, many regions mandate that all motorhomes evacuate, treating mobility as a simple solution to natural disasters. While the logic seems sound, RVs can move, so they should, the reality creates dangerous complications that officials rarely consider. Mandatory evacuation laws assume every RVer has the resources to leave quickly. Adequate fuel, mechanical reliability, financial means, and a safe destination. Many don't. Elderly or disabled RVers may lack the physical ability to execute rapid departures. Others face mechanical breakdowns, empty gas tanks, or simply nowhere safe to go. The unintended consequences can be deadly. When thousands of motorhomes hit evacuation routes simultaneously, they create massive traffic jams that trap everyone, including emergency vehicles, in gridlocked danger zones. People who might have weathered storms safely in sturdy RV parks instead find themselves stuck on highways as disasters approach. These blanket mandates ignore individual circumstances entirely. Fixed penalties punish people regardless of legitimate obstacles, turning disaster preparedness into potential criminalization. An elderly couple with a broken transmission faces the same legal consequences as someone who simply chooses to stay. Smart emergency management requires flexibility and nuance, not rigid one-size-fits-all commands. While some RVers should evacuate, others might be safer sheltering in place than joining potentially catastrophic highway exodus scenarios that these laws often create. Some cities have enacted what amounts to a campground monopoly law. Motorhomes can only park overnight in licensed campgrounds, period. No Walmart stays, no street parking, no visiting family driveways, no rest areas. If you want to sleep in your RV, you must pay campground fees, no exceptions. Officials frame these laws as safety or zoning measures, but the reality is purely economic. Local campgrounds lobby hard for these regulations to guarantee captive customers, while cities conveniently reduce nuisance camping by pricing it out of existence. The practical impact is devastating for RV freedom and affordability. Self-contained rigs that need no hookups still face mandatory $40 to $100 nightly fees for amenities they won't use. Budget travelers who chose RV life for its flexibility suddenly find themselves trapped in an expensive, regulated system. In areas with limited campgrounds, these laws can leave travelers with literally nowhere legal to sleep, forcing impossible choices between breaking the law or driving dangerously while exhausted. This directly contradicts everything RVing represents: freedom, self-sufficiency, and affordable travel. Instead of encouraging tourism and safe rest, these regulations transform the open road into a pay-to-play system where only wealthy RVers can participate legally. It's government-sanctioned price fixing that benefits campground owners at the expense of everyone else, turning what should be personal choice into mandatory consumption. Most campgrounds and residential areas enforce strict generator curfews, typically 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., with understandable intentions about noise control. But these rigid timeframes often create dangerous and impractical situations for RVers who depend on generator power for essential needs. The problems become apparent quickly. Diabetics need refrigerated insulin overnight. Sleep apnea patients require CPAP machines. Elderly travelers need air conditioning during sweltering summer nights or heating during freezing temperatures. When generator curfews kick in, these medical and safety needs don't simply disappear. For boondockers camping without electrical hookups, nighttime generator bans can make stays impossible. The hottest and coldest hours, when power is most critical, become off-limits, forcing uncomfortable and potentially unsafe conditions. The rules lack nuance entirely. Instead of addressing genuinely problematic noise levels or requiring modern, quieter generators, they impose blanket prohibitions that treat all RVers identically. Meanwhile, other nighttime disturbances like loud music, traffic noise, or barking dogs rarely face such strict regulation. This creates a financial penalty system. RVers must invest thousands in solar setups, seek expensive hookup sites, or risk health and comfort during curfew hours. Rather than encouraging responsible generator use or setting reasonable noise standards, these laws often feel designed to discourage RV camping altogether. Smart policies would focus on actual noise levels and essential needs rather than arbitrary time restrictions. Some cities have turned overnight RV stays into a bureaucratic nightmare by requiring special permits that can cost anywhere from a few dollars to over $100. These permits often come with strict conditions: designated zones only, rigid time limits, or proof of existing campground reservations. Officials claim these systems regulate RV use and prevent long-term street camping, but the practical effect is far different. Tired travelers arriving after business hours discover they can't legally stop anywhere without first navigating permit applications that may be impossible to complete until morning. The timing creates dangerous scenarios. Exhausted drivers face a choice: break the law by parking without permits, drive dangerously while fatigued searching for legal alternatives, or sleep in genuinely unsafe locations outside city limits. None of these outcomes improve public safety. The bureaucracy ignores RV reality entirely. Most RVers are responsible travelers seeking short-term, temporary stops, not permanent residents trying to establish illegal camps. Adding paperwork and fees doesn't solve legitimate problems. It simply drives away the very visitors cities should want to attract. Tourism revenue suffers when travelers learn they need permits just to sleep in their own vehicles. Instead of welcoming visitors who might spend money at local businesses, these rules send a clear anti-RV message that pushes travelers toward more accommodating destinations. It's regulation for regulation's sake, creating problems where none existed while solving nothing. Many cities impose blanket-size restrictions that completely ban motorhomes exceeding certain dimensions, often 25 to 30 feet in length, from entering city limits or parking anywhere within municipal boundaries. These arbitrary cutoffs instantly exclude countless Class A motorhomes and larger fifth wheels, regardless of actual road conditions or available parking. Officials justify these bans with concerns about traffic flow, safety, or limited parking space. But the one-size-fits-all approach lacks any practical logic. There's an enormous difference between navigating a 40-foot RV through narrow historic downtown streets versus parking in a spacious suburban shopping center. Yet these laws treat both scenarios identically. The economic impact is self-defeating. Cities literally chase away some of their most valuable tourists, owners of expensive, large rigs who often have substantial travel budgets for dining, shopping, and attractions. Instead of welcoming these visitors, municipalities force them to park miles outside town, arrange costly shuttles, or skip the destination entirely. Smart policy would create targeted restrictions. Prohibit oversized vehicles on specific narrow streets while allowing access to appropriate areas with adequate clearance and parking. Instead, these blanket bans represent lazy governance that punishes RV owners simply for choosing larger rigs. The result benefits no one. Cities lose tourism revenue, RVers lose travel opportunities, and legitimate safety concerns remain unaddressed because the rules ignore actual road conditions and infrastructure realities. Some campgrounds and counties legally mandate that all motorhomes use full utility hookups, water, sewer, and electricity, regardless of whether their rigs actually need these services. Officials frame this as a sanitation and safety requirement, but the real effect is forcing travelers to pay premium fees for amenities they don't want or require. Modern motorhomes often come equipped with sophisticated self-contained systems, large freshwater tanks, efficient waste management, solar panels, and battery banks that provide complete independence. Yet these mandatory hookup laws ignore decades of technological advancement, treating all motorhomes as if they're primitive camping trailers from the 1970s. The financial impact hits budget-conscious travelers hardest. A self-sufficient RVer with solar power and ample tank capacity must still pay $40 to $80 nightly for electrical, water, and sewer connections they'll never use. Some areas go further, completely prohibiting dry camping and making off-grid stays illegal entirely. This destroys one of rving's core appeals, the freedom to camp independently without infrastructure dependence. Boondockers who specifically chose RV life for its self-sufficiency find themselves trapped in a pay-to-play system that contradicts their lifestyle choice. Rather than addressing genuine safety concerns, these rules appear designed to maximize campground revenue while stripping away camping flexibility. They penalize responsible RVers who've invested in advanced, environmentally friendly systems that reduce infrastructure demands. Exactly the opposite of what smart policy should encourage. This is the side of RV life they don't want you to know. Which law made you the angriest? Comment below. We're listening. And don't miss our next video, where we reveal the hidden rules RVers break every day without realizing it. See you there.